How old is your body really? Would you be surprised to know that our biological age can vary hugely from our chronological age? In fact, some professional athletes can be 20 years older.
We are so excited to share this fascinating episode with you as we interview Dr. Marina Kavur of Glycanage, who has a PhD in molecular biology. Glycanage is a test that determines your biological age by looking at the state of your immune system and inflammation by looking at molecules in the body called glycans.
So in this episode, we dive into the science and, as always, give tips on how to manage this with positive lifestyle changes.
Hi, I'm James Davis.
And I'm Claire Davis.
We're the Midlife Mentors, here to lift the lid on how to achieve health and happiness.
The balanced, no-nonsense way.
So thrilled today to be joined by Marina Kavur, who is a PhD in molecular biology with the company Glycanage. Now, some of you might be thinking, what is Glycanage? Well, I think Marina is going to be best placed to explain it all, but it's really fascinating. It's a way basically of looking at aging in the body. They've developed a whole series of tests based around molecular biology and other factors, and I suppose most interestingly, there's also interventions you can make to bring your age down. So
we're very excited to speak to Marina today. Thank you so much, Marina, for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
So let's go straight into the questions, I think.
First question.
Okay.
Tell us a little bit about how you decided to start Glycanage. What was the inspiration and the story behind it?
So the story about the Glycanage actually starts with glycans, and those are the tiny but complex and often overlooked building blocks of life. Glycans are essentially branched sugars, branched chains of sugars that are ubiquitous and even at the surface of our cells and molecules in our bodily fluids such as milk and blood. So just like it is the case with other building blocks of life, like proteins, lipids, and nucleic acids, such as DNA or RNA, we actually can't survive without glycans. But we rarely hear about them, right? So over 10 years ago, Professor Gordon Loud's, who is, the mind behind Glycanage, recognized this and devoted his entire academic career to these overlooked molecules. And then after tens of thousands of analyzed samples of human blood and dozens of published research papers, one study found that a specific group of glycans from human blood changes with age. And those were the glycans attached to the molecule immunoglobulin G, which is actually the most present antibody in human blood. This is the antibody that protects us from viruses and bacteria, but also sometimes even causes things like autoimmune diseases. And that in itself was an interesting discovery. But the truly mind-blowing part of it was that IgG glycans didn't exactly follow the age curve. Instead, the observed changes were better described when lifestyle factors such as, markers such as BMI, waist circumference, LDL, and blood sugar levels were taken into the analysis. So this is actually how everything started, when we knew, this is not simply about age. There is a lot of the environmental and lifestyle factors that contribute to it.
Fascinating stuff. We love all of this. We know our listeners are going to love what you've said already. So can you tell us a little bit about Glycanage? What is it? How it works? You kind of said a little bit about what it measures, but what the results mean.
Mm-hmm. So glycanage is actually a test of biological age. So unlike your chronological age, which is, how many years passed since you were born, your biological age is actually how much you've spent your body. So if you compare it, let's say, to cars, I like to do a comparison to cars. The chronological age would actually be the year of production of that car, but the biological age would be the mileage. And the more mileage you have, the more problems that are going to be. So glycanage actually measures this biological age, and it does so, like I mentioned before, by measuring glycans, which are attached to this molecule immunoglobulin G from our blood. Now the thing is, every human being actually has a mixture of many different glycans in their blood at any given moment. And basically, this mixture is very individual. It will depend on your sex, on your age, on your background, but it will also depend on your lifestyle. And so this is something that we can look at. We can, take every individual's blood. We can analyze it with complex analytical methods. And then we can, compare it to all of the other persons that we have analyzed so far. So to all of the other samples that we have analyzed so far. And we can tell you where you are standing, compared to the average. So your glycanage will actually be a comparison of your personal glycan profile to the average profile of a person of your sex and age.
This is really interesting. I might be oversimplifying here, maybe for our listeners. Are we essentially looking at the level of inflammation in the body as a result of lifestyle factors? Then the glycanage test can give it that biological age?
Well, in the essence, yes, we are looking at the level of inflammation in our bodies, because immunoglobulin G is the molecule which will mediate a lot of this inflammation. So, and the glycans on this molecule will actually determine which way this immunoglobulin G, this antibody, is going to react. Is it going to create a lot of the a lot of the noise, a lot of the inflammation? Is it going to be a very mild, sort of a response? So here the glycans are crucial, but still keep in mind that while roughly about 50% of the effect that we are observing can be attributed to environmental factors and the lifestyle, there is still roughly around 50% that actually comes from your genes. And this is the part that we are not going to be able to change. So yes, absolutely, it measures the entire response of the immune system. It measures the background inflammation in the body, but not only from the lifestyle factors. There are also, a lot of the other things in the background, such as, potentially some mutated genes or something that can cause a certain person to have a higher starting level of inflammation.
This is really interesting. Listen, if you're as fascinated by this as we are, then you're going to want to carry on listening, because at the end, we're going to talk about an offer Glycanage have very kindly given us a discount code. We're going to tell you at the end.
This is just such fascinating stuff.
So the next question is, Marina, what are some of the key factors you found that lead to an older biological age than actual physical age?
So, there are some factors which will universally increase your biological age, or as measured by glycans, which is a glycanage. And these are usually, the known things like smoking, obesity, autoimmune and cardiometabolic diseases, even stress. But then again, the extent to which they will increase one person's glycanage is very individual. So we can actually have two smokers, and one of them will have just a mild increase in their biological age, and the other one will have a drastic increase. And this is why it's actually very important to measure your biological age, because there is no one perfect solution. There is no one measure that fits every individual.
Talking about individuals, one of the interesting things that stood out for us was that we understand when you look at professional sports people, the kind of people you'd look at and think, wow, they're in peak condition, the prime of their life. You'd think that their biological age would be lower than their chronological age. But actually, a lot of them are biologically older due to the stresses of training.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so we have both observed this effect with our clients and in controlled scientific study, which we recently published. So that was published in 2019. And most frequently, we see it in a combination of intense exercise and some sort of a diet regime that creates low energy availability. So what we actually saw in our study on female physique athletes is that the combination of intense training and semi-starvation had a vast effect on the expression of hundreds of genes involved in the regulation of the immune system. And it caused a switch to a pro-inflammatory glycan profile. So in that time frame, all of the athletes also lost weight. And after the recovery period and when they regained that weight, most of the parameters returned to normal. But then, the question remains, what would happen if this exposure to intense exercise and the semi-starvation would be chronic? And, it's possible and even likely that some of those negative changes would become permanent.
We're talking here about female physique competitors, bikini competitors who spend a lot of time getting their muscle mass high, then starving themselves to get down to a very low body fat.
Yeah, that's basically with the bodybuilders, yes. Well, the thing is, there is this huge discussion in this field for years now. Does actually very intense training cause a vast effect on the immunity? And the study which we published recently together with a lot of the collaborators is the first one which looked at it on a very, very, very precise way by measuring, expression of the genes and the glycosylation and, things which were not measured in the studies before. And we can definitely say that, yes, intense training in combination with the low energy availability definitely has an effect on the immune system. And now we would like to, follow that through further and see also for other sports and other conditions.
Yeah, I mean, I have a big passion for looking at this industry because I do think it's tremendously damaging and dangerous for these women to do that to themselves. For instance, the menstrual cycle stops, they've got IBS, they've got gut health issues, So I know everyone is an individual, but how can someone reduce their glycanage?
Okay, so again, it's a difficult question. There are some general rules, like, for instance, don't smoke, try to reduce stress, avoid foods which is very processed and, which, is bad. But then, if there would be such a very simple answer in how to reduce your glycanage, we wouldn't actually try to build this whole platform of, professionals like professional nutritionists and trainers and everyone who tries to look at the individuals with a very intelligent approach and help them reduce their glycanage. Because we have had situations in which, some of the clients try to reduce their glycanage by doing the things which everyone says are healthy, and they failed, or they even increased their glycanage. But then in some cases where we had, nutritionists who tried to reduce their own glycanage, and they looked at their levels of lipids and sugar in blood, and they actually tried to create a whole personalized approach for themselves, then they were very successful. We also have some cases of clients where we basically gave them, this whole personalized plan, and in those cases they were also very successful. But it's not, like a simple solution. I would love it if there would be some simple solution, but just like, in many cases in life, there is no just one unique answer which will solve all of your problems.
No, it's funny, isn't it? We see this with our clients. What we can do is do the best we can with things like moving our body, nutrition, most of the time managing our stress levels the best we can, not smoking, not drinking too much alcohol. We found that fascinating, talking about what that looks like for some people and how it's also so individual. Have you found any types of exercise in particular effective, Marina?
So we did find that short high-intensity training in the form of sprint sessions, followed by adequate recovery period, was effective in reducing glycanage in young men with a history of previous exercise. So those were previous athletes which were not exercising at the moment, and then we had a control group which continued not exercising, and another group which had this high-intensity training. And the high-intensity training one managed to, in average, improve their glycanage. So this is one type of exercise which we did find effective, but again, this is in a group of young men who are all healthy and physically able. And then the question is, how would this also apply for other groups of people? And these are the things which we're still pursuing and still trying to identify what are those types of maybe some types of exercise which are more appropriate for one group or another.
Yeah, the research never ends, right?
Yeah, but in general, from other epidemiological studies, it appears that when we talk about daily exercise for a prolonged period or even a lifetime, moderate levels of exercise seem to generate better results than, very intense exercise. But again, data is very sparse, and the exact line between moderate and intense training, especially for one person, is unclear. And most likely the ideal type and intensity of exercise depends on many factors such as, sex, age, previous health issues, state of the immune system, and so on and so on. So that is something that we're very interested in as scientists and that we're, looking in.
Our clients are obviously midlife, and one of the things we say is less is more. It's about short bursts of exercise with adequate recovery. So it's great that your research backs that up. I know you mentioned cutting back on processed foods. Are there any other simple nutrition tips, like cutting sugar out, for instance?
Well, we are doing now one study where we are comparing different diets. So different, those healthy diets like, low sugar, high protein, keto diet, and so on and so on. And for now, there doesn't seem to be one specific that gives good results in all individuals. So, the best that I can tell you is try to really avoid the unhealthy and very processed food. And when it comes to a specific type of diet, like, low sugar or low salt and things like that, we still need to look at it in much more detail and better. This is something that is currently ongoing, and I'm too much of a scientist to bring any rush conclusions, but so far it seems to be individual. So
we love that. We totally respect that, Marina. So how long does it take, would you say, to start seeing results? And how long does it take before you start seeing the positive benefits? I think I know what you're going to say, that it's highly individual for everyone, but I thought I'd ask.
Well, actually here it's not that very individual because it depends on some molecular parameters. For instance, how long does it take for this molecule that we're measuring to turn around in your blood? So what I can tell you is, there is no quick fix, which people are expecting today. Everything needs to be quick. So the first changes, yeah. Yeah, there is no quick fix, but I can tell you that first initial changes can be visible after approximately 1 month, unless there is, some very acute change, and usually that's very acute negative change, such as some disease, pneumonia, influenza, or something like that. But if there is, lifestyle change, then it takes about 1 month for first initial changes, and then those changes you will probably not even notice yourself. We will only be able to measure them using high power of the statistics and comparison and so on and so on. But for any real observable change, it would usually take 3 to 6 months. And what we typically see is we see good results after 1 year. And in this 1 year, we actually had clients who took this, very individualized, very intelligent approach with the group of professionals that designed a plan for them. And they had such a great success that within 1 year, some of our clients were able to reduce their age by 5 or even 15 years of biological age. And this is within 1 year. So then, it does seem like a long time. 1 year seems like a very long time to wait, but 15 years in only 1 year, that's an incredible result.
I know we've talked about the individual aspects, but do you have any general tips you could share for midlifers, anything they could start doing now to help bring down their biological age?
Yeah, well, my first result, my first answer would be, the first step to actually achieving a healthy lifestyle, especially, in your midlife, is knowing that the lifestyle you're leading is actually good for you. Mm-hmm. So, as I said before, there is no such thing as an ideal lifestyle that fits all. And for achieving good health, you first need to know if the things that you are doing are actually good for your body and for yourself. So I would recommend anyone, if they can, to actually measure their biological age, and then to measure the effect of the changes which they're introducing, if they're introducing the changes themselves.
Absolutely. We're always saying awareness is the precursor of change. Unless you're aware of what's going right and what's going wrong, there's no way you can change it in an educated, intellectual way. Perfect. Thank you so much, Marina.
Thank you so much, Marina. Now, listen, if you would like to find out more about this and indeed take the Glycanage test yourself, then we have a 15% discount code for you. The code is MIDLIFEMENTORS. We'll put all this in the show notes. And you go to glycanage.com. Again, we will put that in the show notes. We just found this so fascinating. So thank you so much for your time, Marina.
Thank you. And thank you for inviting me.
Yeah. You've been listening to the Midlife Mentors with Claire and James Davis.
We'd love to hear from you, so drop us a line at info@themidlifementors.com with any questions or topic suggestions.
And make sure you join us on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. You can find us under the Midlife Mentors. Yeah.